carefree. So what happens? There is harmony when we are born. And everywhere where kids are born, where we are all born, we start out like this. We start out playing together. We start out happy. We start out cooperating. There is no concept of race. There is no concept of gender. There is no concept of, somebody is better than me or I'm better than them. We're all just peaceful. We are all just peaceful. So what happens to people? What happens to cause all these problems so that now they are saying there is no peace, and now they are telling me peace starts with me? Well, something happens. All those kids that grow up happy and harmonious, playing together, at some point, the peace is gone. The peace is destroyed. There is some change that takes place. And so you start seeing people, they don't play together anymore. And this is the beginning of where the peace breaks down. There is no peace anymore. So you see some people who are happy and laughing and happy, and some people who are sad and miserable. And what happens often is the two groups start fighting one another. So there is no peace. There is no peace anymore. Then it goes from just this Cold War, this strife, this unhappiness, to this Cold War among people, where we now have absolutely no peace among different groups. And we have this Cold War. There are people who are separated here, and there are people who are separated here, and there is this Cold War. There is hatred, there is division, there is no more peace. And then it progresses from that Cold War to a hot war, where people actually kill one another. The peace is completely gone and is replaced by war. People become hostile. What happens? So we are all born happy, but some people just cannot stay happy. They cannot stay peaceful. There are people who we start at the same point, but they never stay peaceful. So then they say, peace starts with me. Why? Well, what really happens to people? Look at this beautiful kid here. This is Vladimir Lenin. A nice kid, born happy. And yet, this little kid here, who grew up happy and peaceful, ended up killing those people over there. That whole family, the Romanov family, the mother, the husband, and 5 children. They took them into a room and they told them, we are going to take a picture in the room, in their palace. So they took them to the basement and said, we are going to take a picture. And they shot them all. They killed them. This little kid, Lenin here, grew up and killed all that family. What happened to him? Here is a mother who was a very kind and good mother. She had lots of money. She was a very well-educated woman, and she really cared about her only son. She had one son whom she really cared about. This is that little boy. This boy grew up taken care of, no physical abuse, no mental abuse, because the mother really cared about her only son. Then what happened to this little boy? This is what happened to him. He turned out to be Hitler. He killed 6 million people. What happened? How does a little boy come from here to here? So we all start from the same place, but somehow the corruption happens along the way. People get corrupted along the way. We all start at the same point, but along the way, some people just get corrupted. So all these kids here who are born and growing together, there is no destiny. Nobody says one of them is going to be evil and one of them is going to be good. There is no predestination in life. There is no destiny. Nobody says he's going to be evil, he's going to be bad. God does not choose people like that, and God does not drive our lives like that. It's all about the choices we make. It's all about the choices we make. There is no predestination of people. God does not say, you are born and you are going to be evil and you are going to be Hitler. And you are born and you are going to be good and you are going to be Mother Teresa. We all start out the same, but the choices that we make in life are what determines whether one becomes Mother Teresa and one becomes Hitler. So, we all start at the same point, but the choices we make are what determines whether we have peace or not. So then why does peace have to start with me? It's because everybody has to choose between good and evil all the time. All the time we are making the choice between good and evil. All the time we have our conscience that is speaking to us, telling us some good things, telling us some bad things. Right now, there is somebody out there who is saying, oh gosh, this is too long. Why is he talking like that? I want to leave. And then the same mind is saying, oh, this is okay. I can stay a little longer. The mind is talking to us all the time. Therefore, we hear all these things. We hear all these things coming into our mind. The key is, what do you do once you hear those voices in your mind? The thoughts are not what is bad, because the thoughts come in and out. You have good thoughts coming in, you have bad thoughts coming in, and then your conscience makes the decision, this is what I'm going to do. So having the thoughts is not the problem. Having evil thoughts, having bad thoughts is not the problem. Having good thoughts is not the problem. The problem is what you do. What choice do you make? When you hear those different thoughts, competing thoughts, what choice do you make? And that determines then who you become. So peace starts with me how? How does peace start with me? It starts with my words. Because you have all these thoughts, and then the first thing that comes out then is your words. What do you say to people? What do you say to your brothers and sisters? What do you say to people you meet or at your job? What do you say to people you meet at school? That is where it all starts. So when they say peace starts with me, it is because peace really does start with what I tell people. It's not just what you tell them, it's how you tell them. How do you speak to people? Do you speak to people in a respectful manner? Or do you speak to people in a condescending manner? Put them down. You can say the same things, but you can say them in different ways. You can talk to somebody and say exactly the same thing in a respectful way or in a disrespectful way. You can say the same words kindly, or you can say the same words in a dismissive manner, angry. So, peace starts with me. Starts with my words. Starts with how I talk to people, how I interact with people, with my words. So that's where the peace starts. Depending on how we talk to one another is going to determine whether peace exists or not. So if we look at, especially if you look in the political arena, there is so much anger. It's the way we talk to one another is what determines whether there is peace or not. So peace starts with me because I can be the one to put the brakes on the way we talk to one another. I can be the kind one. I can be the one that talks in a respectful manner. When we are in a group having a conversation, I can be that voice that is the reasonable voice, that is the calm voice, that is the kind voice, that is the respectful voice. And when you do that, it changes the conversation of everybody else. When you are in a group with a group of people and you are talking and people are angry at each other, putting each other down, belittling one another, cutting one another down, if you come in as that person that is above the fray, above the insults, above that belittling of people, and you speak in a kind manner, you bring the whole conversation closer to kindness. So therefore, peace starts with me. If you are a couple, or if you are family, and everybody is squabbling and everybody is fighting about something, and you are the one that says, I'm going to be the kind voice, then peace starts right there. So peace starts with me. Peace starts with me. It also starts with my behavior. How I act. How do I respond when other groups attack me? How do we respond when other groups come against us? We can be the group that also comes back and says, well, we are going to fight fire with fire. You hear that a lot. People say you fight fire with fire. When people attack you, you attack back. That's the problem. You want to be the people who say, peace starts with me. You are going to come with us in a violent way. We are coming with you in a peaceful way. You are going to hit us. We are going to turn the other cheek. So when you do that, it calms, it brings the temperature down, and it calms the situation, and then you start making peace. You control the impulse to strike back. So when Jesus was here and he was being spat on, people were spitting on him, people were kicking on him, do you think he had only good thoughts in his mind? Do you think he was thinking, oh, I am the Lord, let them spit on me, let them kick me? He was mad. He was angry. He wanted to kick them. But he decided not to hit back. That is the example. All great people make peace by not hitting back. All great people who have made peace by not hitting back, by not multiplying the evil, by not multiplying the violence, but by going the other way, by turning the other cheek. So, we control the impulse to strike back, but then we go a little bit further. We join those who are actually building peace in the world. We join a peace movement. We join those activities that advance peace. So it's not enough not to do harm. You also have to do good. You have to join on something. You have to join something. So you refuse to participate in negative behavior, but you also have to join something. Because you always need a critical mass of peace activists in order to build peace, in order to build a peaceful world. What about churches? Do churches build peace? No. Churches are not really interested in building a world of peace. They are not even really interested in building the kingdom of heaven on earth. That's the problem. Churches are interested in witnessing. Churches are interested in increasing their numbers. So every denomination, every religious group wants to increase their numbers because, of course, every church thinks the only way to go to heaven is through us. Whether you're a Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever you are, you think the only way to get to heaven is through us. So churches are therefore not interested in building peace, they are interested in witnessing. Because of that, they are not really interested in working together for a world of peace, which is really what they should be doing. If they believe in a world of peace, they should be working together. But churches don't work together. They don't think that peace building is a spiritual activity. They think it's a secular activity. And the fundamental reason, of course, is churches do not understand that the kingdom of heaven needs to be built here on earth. Jesus said it many times. Jesus said it hundreds of times. He said, we need to build the kingdom of heaven on earth. Churches never listen. They don't pay attention to that. They want to build the kingdom of heaven in the spirit world. So because churches are not of the understanding that we need to build the wall of peace on earth, they don't think it's a spiritual activity. And therefore, they are not interested. So, peace starts with me. It starts with my words. It starts with how I talk to people, what I say to people, how I talk to the people in a conversation, in a group. It also starts with how I behave. So, I want to be peaceful, but I also want to join something. We have to join something so that we can build peace. So, we have to join something, some active peace organization, some peace-building organization. We have to join something so that we can together build a world of peace. So, in the 1960s, there was, of course, a whole movement by the civil rights groups. And they really tried to practice this message of turning the other cheek, not fighting back. And they said, we are going to build the peace by not fighting back. We are going to build the peace by turning the other cheek. And these were students. These were young students. They said, we are going to do it by not fighting back. We are going to build the peace. So we're going to watch a short video about what they did.
We stood for a more democratic society.
Nonviolent organizers.
We stood for the right of people to be human.
Aggressive justice.
Let the people decide.
The letters SNCC stands for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
Commonly called SNCC for its initials.
SNCC was founded in April 1960 to serve as an effort to bring together all the young people who have been participating in sit-ins across the South.
These students were Southern students. They were not going to live like their parents and their grandparents lived.
We accepted nonviolence, not simply as a technique or as a tactic, but as a way of life, as a way of living.
If I'm in a picket line and someone comes up and strikes me, I'm not going to strike him back. If I'm marching down the street in a protest march and someone spits at me, I'm not going to spit back at him.
People that were prepared and willing to go into hell's fire.
Well, my trouble is hard, so hard. Well, my trouble is hard, so hard.
SNCC's job was to facilitate whatever these students needed. If they went to jail, it was to find a way to get them out of jail. SNCC's job was not to dictate to these communities what their movement was about. The organization really just did the coordination to support all of these student activities that happened from Nashville all through the Carolinas into Georgia. I didn't want to go. I was too afraid. But it was like, if I'm going around on campuses telling people that they should help in the South and I don't do it, what kind of hypocrite am I? So I ended up there and developed a whole literacy project.
It was very hard, almost impossible for people of color to register to vote. You had to pass a so-called literacy test. Some people had been beaten, shot and killed for attempting to register to vote. So we were determined to do all we could to get people registered to vote in the South.
Sometime in the fire, sweet Jesus, be carrying me.
The Student Voice was a 4-page, little 8 by 10 sheet, 4 pages fastened together, that we printed in our own offices in Atlanta and distributed in the cities and towns, mostly small rural towns where we were working. I joined the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in 1960, and my role was to be the communication director, or sort of the publicist.
From being a part of the national movement, I was already a member because the local group became part of SNCC. Before we even go to sit in, we studied, we prepared ourselves. We studied the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence.
Demonstration would be held at a restaurant or some public facility that was closed to black people. We'd march in an orderly fashion, occupy those seats.
Waiting to be served. And someone would come up and spit on you, or put a lighted cigarette out in your hair. Maybe someone would walk up and pull you off the stool and start beating you.
Every state agency could be utilized to enforce segregation with grave consequences. It was like going into the belly of the beast.
In May of 1963, I became the third chair of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. I was 23 years old, and so on August 28, 1963, 10 of us were scheduled to speak. I spoke number 6, Dr. King spoke number 10.
The Catholic Archbishop of Washington threatened not to give the invocation unless John Lewis changed his speech. He objected to some of the language in John Lewis's speech.
When I read it, it shocked me in a way, because I thought, gosh, this is an angry John Lewis. And of course, we were all angry. The Kennedy administration was worried that it made the United States look terrible. They didn't want that kind of criticism.
And finally, only with the request of A. Philip Randolph, the man who had really called this march into being, John said later, I couldn't say no to Dr. Randolph, and so he changed it.
To those who have said, be patient and wait, we must say that we cannot be patient. We do not want our freedom gradually, but we want to be free now. There was so much hope, so much optimism after the March on Washington. But that sense of hope, that sense of optimism was shattered. 18 days later was a terrible bombing of a church in Birmingham where 4 little girls were killed.
And while it didn't produce instant change, and I don't think anybody expected that to happen, the United States had never seen anything like this. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee got people to get together, to march, to protest, to do all of the things that human beings need to do if they want to improve their condition.
This group of determined, brave, and courageous young people gave everything that we had to make America better.
The SNCC and its philosophy of not trying to build one charismatic leader to lead some movement, but actually to build leadership across the board in young women, young men of all different colors, classes, and educational backgrounds. I think that's SNCC's legacy.
So, as you can see, these students joined something, and they said, peace starts with us. And they decided they were going to do something, and decided that nonviolence was going to be their way to change the country. This was an interracial group of students, and they worked together, and the country is a better place. So really, peace starts with me. Let's pray. Heavenly Parent and true parents, we thank you for this opportunity and privilege to come together, to worship together, and to receive your inspiration, Heavenly Parent, every day and every Sunday together as brothers and sisters. We thank you for your love. We thank you for your guidance. And we pray for your continued inspiration all throughout our lives, that we may make this world a better place. Name Cherutich family, blessed family, Aju.